Hey, horror fans! Once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Money G. Yes, I finally went and saw The Crow 2024 today, and now it is time for me to do my review of the latest interpretation of the graphic novel. Yes.
Y'all ready for this?
Hey, horror fans! Once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Money. Now, The Crow 2024 is a 2024 graphic supernatural superhero film that was directed by Rupert Sanders. It was written by Zach Balin and William Snyder, based upon the graphic novel The Crow by James O'Barr. Now, the film stars Bill Skarsgard, FKA Twigs, and Danny Holston. Now, in this film, soulmates Eric and Shelley are brutally murdered. Given a chance to save the love of his life, Eric must sacrifice himself and traverse between the worlds of the living and the dead, seeking revenge. Ooh, boy, he's going to get some revenge, all right. Now, horror fans, or actually movie fans in general, we all know by now that any movie from any type of genre is going to be either remade, reimagined, or rebooted. There's no doubt about that. I mean, this is the way major Hollywood studios now, what this is what they believe in, depending upon the movie, how long the original film was released, that they can still make a profit from it. With the IPs that we have. I mean, look what Disney's doing with all these goddamn live action remakes of their most popular animated films. And I won't even talk about the Snow White live remake. You boy, it looks terrible. I mean, it doesn't matter if the film was successful, or was a box office hit, or it was bombed, or it was reviewed well, was reviewed terrible. They see they're going to have the film remade, reimagined, or rebooted, or whatever else they're going to do about it. That's what Hollywood studios do now. Now, when it comes to the 1994 Gothic supernatural superhero film The Crow, many fans believe that this film was untouchable due to the fact that the lead star, Brandon Lee, was tragically killed while filming the movie. I mean, a lot of people still love, and of course, I did enjoy the 1994 Crow. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Would have definitely made Brandon Lee a star, an action star. Might have even surpassed his father, the great Bruce Lee, if he had lived on this particular film. But a lot of people feel as though you cannot touch that film. But then again, this is Hollywood, guys. It's going to happen. Like I said before, unfortunately, it does happen because it's not the case because Lionsgate felt that enough time had passed, and now directed by English film director Rupert Sanders, who did the Snow White and the Huntsman film. They bring us their latest project, The Crow 2024. Now, in their version of this film, Eric, he is an addict that had a troubled childhood and is in a rehabilitation center when he first encounters Shelley. Now, as far as Shelley, she's a musician that also has similar issues. Is placed in the same center with Eric, who is trying to hide from a vicious crime lord named Vincent Rogue. Rogue, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Now, when Vincent and his people find out where Shelley is, she and Eric escape from the place. They eventually bond and they fall in love with each other. Oh, how nice. Unfortunately, Vincent henchmen, they find them and they eventually kill them. But Eric, he's not dead. He awakens in a oh boy, purgatory like rail yard, where a spirit named Kronos explains to him that he can actually return to living and avenge Shelley's death by killing all the people that killed her and him. Yeah, we know the story. Now, I never read the Gothic novel comic that American comic writer James O'Barr created back in 1989, but I know that the story in the 94 film comes from the source material of that comic book. What we saw in the movie is basically what happens in the comic book. Now, in this film, the only thing that Sanders and his team brings to the table is just Eric and Shelley. Everything else is quite different in this movie. Now, I actually don't have a problem with that, as I always give writers credit when they do something different that what the original story told about their characters. So I love it when writers try to put their own spin, try to do something different with the characters, not rehash the same thing that we saw before. And that's the last thing I wanted for this film to do, was try to rehash what the 94 did and what the film did in 94. And this is something totally different. So I will give Sanders and his team credit for trying to create something different here. Now the problem is when the writers do something different, does it work or it doesn't work? 'Cause that's really the big thing. If you're going to try something different, it better work. And unfortunately, in this case, it doesn't work at all. Now, I will give Sanders credit as the film has some nice visuals and imagery in this particular film, as we get sort of a visual interpretation of the love that Eric and Shelley have for each other. So we'll give him credit for that particular film. I mean, one of the things I actually liked about Snow White and the Huntsman is the visual imagery that he used as far as the dark forest is concerned and some of the effects that he used when it comes to Snow White and her beauty and some of the evilness that we saw Charlize Theron as the evil queen. And we see some of that imagery here. And I really like some of that aspect of the film. So I will give Sanders credit for that. However, the problem is that there is simply no chemistry between the lead actors, and you're going to need that if that's your focus of the film is the love between these two characters have for each other. If you have no chemistry, then you're not going to believe in the love, and that's going to ruin your film altogether. And that's the problem that we have. There's no chemistry here. It also doesn't help that the screenplay by Zach Balin and William Snyder doesn't give Eric and Shelley any type of depth to their characters at all. I mean, to be honest, there's no growth for Eric here other than getting revenge on the people who killed him and the love of his life. I mean, if you're going to make Eric a very sympathetic hero, and I can understand they tried to do that with his troubled backstory, but we don't get enough of that in this particular film. Well, we see some imagery here in the beginning of the film, and there's some flashes that we get at that, but it's not enough. We need some of that terrible aspect of Eric's life in order to make him more sympathetic character. Now, for me, the huge problem of the film and the lack of chemistry between Bill Skarsgard is FKA Twigs, as this is something that you need in order for a film like this to succeed. Now, I am pretty sure FKA Twigs is probably a very good singer. I've never heard any of her music before. I don't know. Obviously, seems to be a pretty good singer. I saw some of her lists, or I should say her discography, on IMDb and Wikipedia, but I never heard any of her songs right here. And I think this is her first major role. And for me, she simply does not have the ability to bring any type of life in the role of Shelley. I mean, when you have the script that is very lackluster and dull, you need to have an actress that can bring some type of life into the character. And unfortunately, Twigs doesn't do that here. Now, at least Bill Skarsgård tries his best in playing Eric as a tortured soul who had a very terrible childhood and finally has something good happen to his life. There is some nice depth that Skarsgård brings to Eric, but unfortunately, it's not enough here. That's mainly because the script doesn't allow him or Twigs to bring anything else to the table, so their love comes off as dull and lackluster. I really didn't feel anything out of the two of them because the script doesn't allow it. Twigs doesn't have the acting chops to do it, and Bill tries, but again, he's hampered by this lackluster script. I mean, the same thing can be said to the villains in this particular film because you have your typical cliched villains here. And even with the added element that Danny Houston's Vincent character brings to the table, it's just lackluster and nothing that we haven't seen before. There's nothing to bring out any type of danger that we have that you're supposed to have in a film like this. Now, I will say the fight scene that we saw in the third act was actually pretty good, as I liked the editing that was done between the fight scene and the play that was going on at the same time. I thought they did a great job of capturing the aspect of what was going on in the fight scene and the play. I really did like that, so they did a pretty good job, and that's really the only thing I really liked about this film. Now, I know this film is being trashed by almost everyone. Yeah, I know the Rotten Tomato score is very low. I've seen a lot of people have been bashing this particular film right now, and I believe only a few people I know that enjoyed it. I know Jen from Jen's Review in the Grave. I know she absolutely loved the film. I think Marty enjoyed it. I think Eric did enjoy it. I heard that Lisa loves. I think she enjoyed this particular film, and I can understand, but I do understand why most people didn't like this particular film. But hey, look, if you did enjoy this film, I'm glad you did. No, as for me, all I can say that this was a very poor attempt in trying to create a different version of the source material. As stated by Skarsgard and the marketing team, that this film isn't a remake, it's just a different telling of the source material, not what happened in the 94 film. I mean, overall, this is a very dull and lackluster film that lacked the chemistry needed between the lead actors, very dull and bland villains, and a very bland ending. It's just like whatever was written on paper, whatever the writers had on paper, whatever they saw on paper, obviously did not very well on the screen here. Now, unlike some of the people who simply bashed this film, I didn't bash the film because it's not a terribly made film. It's not one of the worst films I saw so I've seen so far this year. But unfortunately, this is it's just not good at all. And I really didn't want to do this, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to give The Crow 2024 only one out of my 5 bloody gold coins. It's just bland, boring, and lackluster. That's the best way to describe this particular film. So there you have it, my horror fans. That is my review and video of The Crow 2024. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, like, and share. So that way it helps out with that YouTube algorithm. Have you seen The Crow 2024? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Like everyone else does? Leave your comments in the comment section below and tell you your thought about the film. Also, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. Ring that notification bell. That way, we notified anytime when I put a new video such as this one. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Money G, and always remember that horror rules. And I see you in the next video. That guy, stay safe out there.